Alrighty, now we're gonna focus on and work on getting this design onto a browser and making it an actual landing page that works and that other people can go to and sign up at. So we're gonna break this down into 4 or 5 different parts. First part's gonna be showing you the whole workflow and setting up your workspace for doing some HTML CSS development. Next, we're going to focus on the HTML itself. Then we're going to move on to the CSS and actually the pre-processing language called SAS, S-A-S-S. And we're going to dive into that. And then our next step will be to make the whole thing responsive. So it'll work on your phones and it'll have this type of layout. And after that, we'll test on some different browsers and hopefully launch this pretty successfully. So first off, let's kind of look at what programs I use. First of all, I use for coding, my text editor is Brackets. Now Brackets is an open source software by Adobe, I believe. Supposed to integrate with Photoshop and everything quite nicely. And since it's open source, it's free. You can actually type in brackets.io, and here it is. It's by Adobe, and you can download it for free. And it has some really cool extensions on it to make it actually beat some of the premium text editors such as Coda and Sublime Text. I found this to be nicer. The only strength that Coda has over this is it can connect straight to your FTP, so you can make live changes without having to upload, re-upload, all that stuff. So, and then working in conjunction with Brackets, I have a cool little program called CodeKit. CodeKit is for Mac only. I think, let me check for you guys. The Windows version, or the Windows alternative, is called Preproc. You can, if you're on Mac, you can get either, I believe. If you're PC, you're gonna have to stick with Preproc. Now, what this does is it compiles all your pre-processing languages such as Jade, Haml, and SAS into HTML and CSS. Even does some CoffeeScript and a whole bunch of fun stuff. And let's take a look at preferences. Yeah, see, all these languages are going to be converted into their respective appropriate languages, like Jade and Haml, I believe, go to HTML, TypeScript, CoffeeScript, go to JavaScript, and SAS, CSS, and last go to CSS. All right, anyway, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to start on our HTML. Now, this is going to be the easiest part of this whole video. HTML, you're literally just typing in what you see. That's it. Do it in a clean semantic way. Before we do that, we're going to have to start a project. So new folder, call it sign up, and we're going to drag it in. Now we can do new file, index.html. Cool. And I have this snippet I made in Brackets. I just have to type in at HTML5 or even this, and boom. Now I'll break this down for you. What I did was I first made a doc type HTML that shows it's HTML5, and then I did HTML language English US. So this is good in semantic, especially if you know you're going to have a multilingual website. And I close that tab. Inside that tab, I made a head and body, and I can kind of collapse and close and open these entire snippets of code with a, let's see, with a plugin or extension called folding code folding. Yeah, And since this is all free, it's pretty cool. Let me walk you through this. I have SAS hints, bracket snippets, which I just used. I have SVG code hints. I have WordPress hints. I have code folding, which I'm using, region code folding, which is cool. Extract HTML hints, Jade hints, Jade snippets, Jekyll material brackets theme, and response for brackets. So we're not going to be, you don't really need any of those to follow along with me, but it just makes your workflow a little bit faster, which you'll see that mine is pretty fast. So you have your, and then inside the HTML tags or code, I put in a head and a body. Now body is very simple. It's essentially a very slimmed down HTML5 boilerplate. You have your header, your main, and your footer. We actually probably won't even be using a whole bunch of things. We usually have an aside and all that. I don't need an aside for most of my projects, so I don't have one here. So let's collapse this and, look at the head. Meta, charset, TF8, standard, title, my site. So let's, what's the title gonna be? Sketch to sketch landing page. And then we're gonna have for SEO, it's good to have your main title or headline, and then have a vertical space and then your title of the page. Convert your so this is what your main keyword should be. This is what you want to show up for when someone, your target audience, is typing in your a keyword. This is the keyword you want them to type in. Convert your pixels. Let's do sketch to HTML conversions. There you go. And then you have your SEO metadata. This is also pretty good for embedding links into Facebook and Twitter. I'll set up cards, or you can set up cards with that. You have your viewport. This is really important for responsive design. You have your meta name, your viewport content, width, device width, initial scale 1.0. This is where your icon goes, or favicon goes. Favicon is this little thing. Let's do Reddit. This little thing right here is your favicon. And then FIE9, this is a cool little script that I copied from a HTML5 boilerplate. It's for IE9 or less. I'm not even sure what the latest IE9 is, because I never developed straight for Internet Explorer. It's always for Chrome first and Firefox, and then I can see how I can make it work for Internet Explorer, even though it's like a quarter of the market. Okay, so let's start coding. Now, before we do that, actually, let me show you how to set up a live view. This is where code gets really awesome. You simply drag this in, boom. Now I can actually, there it is. And hold on, give me a second. Yeah, this is what I wanted. Let's do overly attached girlfriend theme index. And now you go to server. Since my main, this is what you can use if your main router is connected to your Mac. If you're not doing that, you can use a non-Bonjour address. Use that. And this is good to go. Let me show you that it's working. Let's go back here. Type in blah blah, save, oops, save, there you go. It's working. Now, since we don't need to see that everything's working correctly quite just yet, we just need to lay this stuff out. So let's look at main landing page. Squeeze this down a little bit. Okay, and we can make, I'm only working on one screen right now, so it's a little bit crammed. Okay, or cozy. So first thing is just this little header thing right here. And since we've made everything very organized, we just go to header, check out what's in it. We do, okay. Header and nav. So yeah, that was a little weird. All right, let me do that again. Do this and nav, and you do sketch to sketch. That's our header, easiest header ever. Let's do our main. This is gonna be fun. Let's do this hero section. Call this hero section, class hero. Actually, it's not going to be class. We're going to only ever use this section once, so it's an ID of hero. Oops. And let's close this up, or I like tagging things. There you go. All right, in that is this video and this little call to action area. Now this is where divs come in handy. You do div class video small, then you do, we're going to add a video here. Then we're going to have watch this video is going to be in H5. Watch this step by step guide to quickly. Then we do a BR. Actually, let's not do BR. I want to keep this nice and semantic. Let's keep this organized. There you go. And to quickly what? Converting. Quickly convert. Bad grammar there. Your sketches into ready to use. There you go. Quickly convert. Cool. Okay, now we have that all set up, so we can fold this. Video small. Now we can do bullets. Should grip this. Call it first opt-in. Okay. Div class first opt-in. So what is this going to be? We're going to do bullets is going to be great for H4 first. Then we're going to do an unordered list. Then you do list item. Copy that, paste that twice, do designers. Save time on your design process. Developers, get your projects designed beautifully. Anyone that saw Bruce Almighty knows how to spell beautiful. Managers, get your project designed the right way. Okay, now we need our call to action. What's in this call to action? Alrighty. So now we're gonna probably use the MailChimp thing for this, and I'll show you how to do that in just a second. But for right now, let's just do a default form. Now we're going to have our div class opt-in. We're going to do a form. Actually, no. We don't need a div. This is just a form. Form class opt-in, because it'd be just an unnecessary div. We can style this form as well, and that's the way you're supposed to do it. And form opt-in. Okay, and inside. Actually, no. The reason I did that is because we have not just the buttons, we have a title as well. Yeah, let's, my bad. I clearly need more coffee. Okay, now we can do our get your free guide today. And do H5, I want to say. Yeah, H5. Looks good. Okay. So now you have your form finally. Form. Input. Type. Then you have text. Or no, email. Any placeholder? Kanye West. He is us. God. Okay, and then you have your input type submit. Then you're going to do name and your video. You're going to do value get your video. Okay, now let's see how this looks. Save this. Cool. Kanye West.uses.god. I like that. Okay, so yeah, all the content from the hero is here. Now we need to focus on this main video. Now, so let's close our hero section. So what we did was we created this. Actually, we haven't done everything. We need to do our H main header and subheading. So that's an H1. This is easy. H1, convert your sketches into pixel perfect mockups. Then we have an H4 here. Let's copy this. Paste. How cool is that? And I like to do this. Even though it's not going to show up in the HTML, it's just easier to read. Let's take a look. Sweet. Alrighty. So let's close this up. Now our next section. ID is, what's a section ID called? Video. Okay, cool. This is going to be fairly easy. What is this in H3? Yep, H3. Do this, H3. Command A, Command C, Command V. Here next. Cool. And then you have well, all these notes we'll work on before we add some sort of what should I call it? Some sort of actual videos, placeholder videos. And I just want to add this real quick. It's an SVG, and it's going to be a little tricky to code this in CSS, especially for first timers. It's tricky for me as well. So beauty of sketches, this is an SVG, so we'll make it exportable. Do a plus and we'll do SVG. Export triangle 2. This is where we're gonna go to. Adam, desktop, where are you? Sign up and video background down arrow. And cool thing about brackets is you can refresh. There's all your stuff, and you even have a little code kit file. So go to our browser, show you how that's done. At the end of the section, you want to do image, source, and beauty of brackets is it lets you select things inside your folder so you don't misspell anything by accident. Boom. How cool is that? And we can make it responsive with CSS. Since take a look at what the SVG looks like. it's all a bunch of code, and it's not an image file. It renders as an image file. So cool thing with that is you can manipulate it in CSS. All right, let's get back to the design or coding, whatever. Have that down. Let's do another section. ID. Call this Testimonials. Testimonials, the header's easy as well. Command A, Command C. It's an H3, so now you have your specific testimonials. Now, cool thing is we only have to make one and then copy, duplicate it twice. Now, testimonial, let's do this. Make a div class. This is where when you're learning CSS, this is where you get an immediate type of satisfaction from learning CSS. You make a class and then you can duplicate it and change one thing for a class in the CSS, and everything that has that class tag, such as this, will get manipulated in the same way. Okay, what do we want to put inside? Inside is an oval, or an image actually, and it's going to be we're not going to get actual circle images. We'll make them circle images with CSS. I'll show you how later. Leave this blank for now. I'm going to do alt tag, which we'll leave blank as well. Image. There you go. And then you have your what should we call this? Customer text, or testimony. Actually, it's a paragraph text. Okay. And what I like using is hipster ipsum. Go to ipsum.co and beer me. Let's do 3. And then you have your customer tag, which will be p class. No, span. What should be? It should be p class client name. Because Entourage movie is coming out. Johnny Banana. Okay, cool. And yeah, this is it. And what we do now is this. Boom. How cool was that? Now, since we have our notes here, we know where things are ending and where things aren't. And you can see that we have testimonial. Okay, now we have testimonials section with a header, the H3 right here, professional, creative, love, sketch to sketch. Then you have your 3 separate testimonial divs. And I'll show you a way. We're going to use flex boxes to get that going. Now underneath that, actually no, not underneath that, since we have some text overlaying here, what we should do is just code this and add that later in the CSS. So let's say goodbye to our That's weird. You have all these little things that bracket tells you, hint problems, set value to blah. Set. Alright, it's gonna bug me if I don't do this. So this and blah. Oops. We don't need that for IMG. That was weird. And we have to do that 3 times over. That's where, yeah, you don't close an IMG tag. That is looking funky. IMG, okay. And one last one. Cool. Thing looks good. You do this. Awesome. That's why. Okay. Now we can focus on this final call to action. Now we do section ID CTA. And you just note that out. We're also going to use CTA as a class, so pay attention to that. Okay, so you have your CTA section, which you'll have your H2. In your H2, what I'm thinking is instead of just having H2, let's do div class final. No. Heading. Okay, trust me, this is what I'm thinking we can do. I want to use this SVG as a background of this whole area, and that's what I'm planning on doing. If it doesn't work out, we'll fix it. Heading, you have your H2. Get your free guide below. Then you have enter your, what is that? Paragraph, I guess, P. It's also strong, so strong. Then you have your body. This is it's just regular P. Then you have your form. Thinking, since this is very similar to this, is it? Yeah, it's, let's see. Seems to look very similar. So what we'll do is probably just use this over here and save ourselves some time. The only difference I can see is this has an email label. It doesn't say email here. Well, couldn't hurt saying email up here either. So we'll do final call to action and our input right here. we'll do form class CTA. Then we'll do label and call it email. Then we'll do input type email. Okay, and that's a placeholder. And we'll do another input type submit. And the name is get your video, and the name and the value is get your video. I like separating these two. And finally, we have our footer. So when you're doing a more dynamic thing, you can have a separate PHP footer file or tag or whatever. I think it's a PHP tag, I want to say, or file. Anywho, let's go to our footer. The footer is very simple. It's 3 links. Link is simply a H. There you go. Let's copy paste that a couple times. Now the this thing is going to be credit. So ID credit. Then you have your first one is ID. Oops. Copyright. Do and or ampersand copy and that. And sketch to sketch. See, I think your copy goes here. And then you have your sketch to HTML. And let's do some hosting as well. And there you have it. Now let's check it out. This doesn't look good right now, does it? But that's the HTML of it. Now, if you want to get a little bit more organized, a final thing in your footer, what you could do is make 2 divs. Div class. You can do div class copyright. And div class credit. This will come in handy when we're figuring out our floats. Now I'm going to take a short break, let you know about a little thing I'm working on right now. So take a look, and I hope you like it.